Hello, everybody. This is John Butero back with you again with another video. And this one really, it was not something I planned to do today. I actually came across another video that I'd like to respond to. I don't think this video is going to be very long, but I just want to talk a few minutes about one of the atheists that has been online. And his name is Timmy Gibson. And I'm sure some of you have seen him before. If you ever have seen him, you won't forget him because he is the absolute coolest atheist that there is on the planet. I mean, he looks like something right out of that 70s show. And I don't mean even cool like Hyde. I mean cool like one of the whichever it was, Cheech or Chong or whichever one it was that was on that 70s show. They were both pretty much alike. But I mean, he is just way out there cool. And he is trying to tell people that he used to be a pastor at one time. As a matter of fact, he said he spent, I believe it was 30 years as a pastor until he came to the place. And here's what he says as far as on the title of his video that he did until he realized he loved being a Christian till he realized it wasn't true. The problem is he didn't come to a place where he realized it wasn't true. He came to a place where he stopped believing. He has no more proof than any of the other atheists that have been online that Christianity is not true. All he did was he started believing the same people that have been lying to everybody else, and he just stopped believing anymore. But the reason I want to address Timmy Gibson here today is because I want to address the strategy that he's employing to try to get Christians to stop being Christians. He probably figures it's not an overnight process. It's going to take a little bit of doing. So, and it's really kind of a smart strategy in a way. What he's doing is he is telling us that he came out of the type of Christianity where that they actually believed that the Bible was completely literal. And what he says is he starts making fun of some of the stories that he actually used to believe that are in the Bible. And that had to do with stuff like a literal Adam and Eve and like Jonah and the whale. And I guess Noah and the ark, I would assume would be another one of the ones that he used to believe, but he doesn't believe anymore. And the strategy that he is employing is he comes back and he says, but now I realize that not all Christians believe these things. I know that that was what I came out of, but I know that they don't all believe that. So I don't want to lump them all together. And basically, what he was trying to do there was to make us feel like if we are Bible believing Christians who believe all these stories, he wants us to feel silly or stupid that we ever believed those things before, and therefore that we will shy away from it. And let me give you kind of like turn this around on him and turn it around on his fellow atheists so you kind of get an idea of how I might employ this same tactic towards them and make them kind of run from some of their beliefs. Because Timmy Gibson, who now is running from these stories in the Bible that he once believed because he claims that they are not true anymore, uh, Mr. Gibson has also gone back and he has said some things about the Bible that he cannot prove. Like, for instance, he claims that there's DNA evidence that proves that Adam and Eve were not real people. Absolutely not true. He claims that these stories that were in the Bible have been disproven. Absolutely not true. You've got a bunch of people in the scientific community that make claims that these stories are not true. You have them in the historians who claim that these things did not happen, but they do not have any proof. And something that I also want to point out again concerning science when it comes down to stuff like Noah's Ark and some of these different stories and some of the claims they make, they're making them all based on the natural. And they're forgetting the fact that we are serving a supernatural God who can suspend natural laws and he can do things that can't normally be done. Oh, Mr. Gibson also was, saying stuff about the sun standing still. That was another one of the stories that he just can't believe. So what does he believe? He is now in the group of what I would call the wacky group of atheists who they really don't have a lot of choice. If they've got to come up with some kind of a belief system, or you'd think they would, is to explain how we got here. Some of them don't. But Mr. Gibson does. He's one of those that had to come up with an explanation for how we got here. And he just takes whatever the scientists and the historians say at face value, and he believes it just as much as he believed the Bible one time at face value. Now he's doing the same thing, but he's doing it with his atheist beliefs. And he was talking about how that when he was a Christian, he used to really enjoy what he did. He was an actual full-time preacher, and he made his living that way. And now he is a preacher for atheism. Now, again, I'm going to make this clear to you. Atheism is a religion. They're going to say different. They're going to come out and they're going to tell us why it's not. They're liars. It is a religion. They're acting just like any Christian religion does with their. Timmy just basically just changed sides, and now he's a pastor for atheism. Now, I could say he's a pastor for the devil, because in reality, the ones that are preaching against Christianity are preachers for the devil. But I'm just going to say right now, his atheist religion. But let me turn this around on him, and just kind of show you the tactic he's using so you don't get fooled by it. What he has done toward Christians, I'm going to demonstrate it towards atheists so you kind of see where I'm coming from. Let's say that I was a former atheist and now I've turned to Christ. Here might be the way that I would do a deconstruction of it if I was doing it in his method. You know, I used to be an atheist until I came to the place where I discovered that atheism was a lie. Atheism has been completely disproven, and we now know for a fact that God is real. Now, I know that some atheists are different from others. Now, I'm just talking about the kind of atheism that I came out of. The kind of atheism I came out of was the kind that actually bought into all of that nonsense about a big bang, even though the scientists have no idea what came before the bang. I'm talking about the kind of atheism that actually believes that mankind evolved from microscopic sea creatures. Can you believe that? Microscopic sea creatures turned into all the different kinds of sea creatures, and then some of them came out on the land, and then they turned into all of the land animals, and then some of them turned into people. Yeah, I know y'all didn't believe that. I know that every atheist isn't in that category, but that was the kind of atheism that I came out of. And I don't want to lump y'all together, but nevertheless, that's what I knew. Now, that's kind of the tactic that Mr. Gibson is employing today. This is a very clever tactic because what it does is it makes us, first of all, believe that Christianity has been disproved. It has not. Secondly, it try to makes us feel silly if we are somebody who actually believes in the entire Bible. Now, why is that important? Can you be a Christian and not believe every single story in the Bible is true? Well, technically, if you believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God, you believe that he is God, you believe he died on the cross for your sins, rose from the dead, you repented of your sins, you accepted him as your Lord and Savior, and you believe in him unquestionably. I suppose it's possible to think that stories like Jonah and the whale could have been an allegory or something like that. And actually, it was used to show a greater truth that was to come. It was used to show how Jesus Christ would die on a cross, and then he would be in the heart of the earth for 3 days, as Jonah was like dead, and he was in the belly of the fish for 3 days before he came back out again. So you could make that claim, but it was actually a true story too. It really happened, but it happened to show a greater truth. But it is possible, I suppose, in theory, that you could do that. But here's the problem with it. The idea here is to get you gradually becoming skeptical. You're going to start looking at certain things that you believed in the Bible, and you're going to start shying away from them and separating yourself from them. And then over time, you're going to start this same deconstruction process that all of these clever and enlightened atheists went through. And you're going to come to the point where you, as Mr. Gibson said, you no longer have your head in the sand anymore. And now you realize how ridiculous that these stories were, and you turn away from them. That's what they're trying to do. It's a tactic that the liberals are using. And so if they can, it's like an incremental thing to take you away from the faith. And you need to be really careful about it. And I'm going to tell him, and I'm going to tell everybody that's out there watching this video, I'm not ashamed of my Bible. I'm not ashamed of being a fundamentalist or evangelical Christian. I believe everything in my Bible to be inerrant. And I've explained this before too. The original manuscripts in Hebrew and Greek were absolutely perfect, inerrant. I believe that the King James Bible is as close to perfect as you could get with a translation. I explained how that sometimes when you are doing a translation, sometimes you can't find an exact precise word to go to in the other language. Therefore, you may have little minor issues. Like, for instance, there might be a word that doesn't translate perfectly to a number in the English language. That's why you've got a situation where there's a king who supposedly is shown to have taken his rulership at a different age in two different places in the Bible. The word they couldn't be sure which age it was in the original Hebrew, which was perfect. So apparently the King James authors decided to use both in different places. Atheists jump on that to try to prove an error in the Bible. They make up errors that don't exist, like they'll claim there's two different accounts of the creation in Genesis, like that they contradict each other. They do not. The one of them is kind of like an overview of what happened, and then it goes into more details in the second one. Anybody that reads this and pays any attention should be able to understand that. And sometimes I don't know whether or not they're trying to make this claim knowing better, or whether or not they're just not smart enough to figure that out. But it's just obvious to me there are a number of little things that they come up with. But what is really amazing about all of that is when you consider how much they've had the Bible under a microscope, and they've done this for a long time to try to disprove it, and you look at how little they've got, and I mean, they've got their think tanks, they've got all these different places all over the internet where they are disputing the Bible and claiming they've got proof that it's not true. When you consider how much diligence they've given to this trying to find proof and how little they've got, that all the more validates that the Bible is true. So here's what I'm going to tell him, and I'm going to tell everybody else out there. I believe my Bible is completely reliable. I am somebody who uses the King James Bible only. Oh, which King James? That's another one that they like to have fun with. 1611 version or authorized translation. Doesn't make any difference. The 1611 version, which I do have, and I have read it cover to cover 3 times, including the Apocrypha. The only difference between it and the newer versions is that it uses Old English spelling and it uses Roman numerals, and in the center of it, segregated from the 66 books that are the canon, is the apocryphal books. There's 14 of them, and I have no issue with them, honestly. I don't believe that they're part of the canon. I don't believe they belong as part of the canon because I don't think they're inerrant. But there's nothing really that bad in the Apocrypha. I've read it numerous times over. But at the same time, I just don't see it as being part of the canon. It's not absolutely perfect. You might find some little errors here and there, but I have no big issue with it. So I am perfectly happy with a 1611 edition Bible, if that's what you want, or an authorized King James Bible. And I do realize that there's been some changes in them. And the changes that you had was, first you had the 1611 version with the Old English spelling and the Roman numerals. Then they updated it some where they changed it from Old English spelling to more modern spelling, and they took but it still had the Apocrypha in it for a while. And then the third change was when they took the Apocrypha out, but they left it as a more modern spelling. But that's it. That's what you find in the King James Bible. And I said, well, there's been all these revisions. The revisions that they're speaking of, and this has just been, have nothing to do with changing the actual text of the Bible. It might have been correcting typos or stuff like that, or it might have been having to do with other things that are in the Bible, but that aren't really part of the text. And the way they did that, maybe punctuation changes or little minor things or something, but nothing that actually had to do with the text itself that changed any meanings or anything like that. I know they like to talk about the italics words that were put in there. Again, that was necessary to make it make sense going to English. That any of the words, if you really do know much about your Bible at all, you know that the words that are in italics are in there to help it make sense in this current language that we're using, English. You could read it without the words in italics. You could just skip over them, and it doesn't change the meaning. It just is because we are in a different language than Greek. Greek didn't use the certain words in there, and we need them in English to make it make sense to us. But yes, these are technically minor changes from the original Greek, but it doesn't change the meaning. And there has been no changes that changed the meaning from the 1611 KJV to our authorized version today. I do have issues with the modern translations. They do make changes. Probably the closest to the original that you're going to find if you're going to use a new translation would probably be the New King James Version, but I wouldn't even use it. I prefer to just stay with the authorized King James Version Bible. I don't find it that hard to read. And if you'll just take some time to read it, you'll figure it out. I mean, I did it with the 1611 version, and it's much harder to read than the authorized version. And if I'm smart enough to read the 1611 version, I figured it out relatively quickly. I think that those in our audience are smart enough to be able to learn the authorized King James Version Bible with just a little bit of reading. So don't, you know, but the thing is, don't believe the things they're telling you. The atheists have no proof of anything they're saying. They have not proven the Bible false. I don't feel foolish. Matter of fact, I would feel foolish if I was in his camp and actually believed that I was evolved from all of these other life forms. Because if you really believe that, then we are really kin to everything that's out there, because it all started with the same microscopic organisms in the sea. That is not just your monkey, but that actually is every single animal that's out there. It's every kind of life that's out there, including the worms that you bait your hooks with, or the ants, or the spiders, or just anything, the mosquitoes. It doesn't matter what it is. If what he is saying is true, and then every single thing that's out there, every kind of life form, we are related to it. Do you know how stupid that is? And the atheists don't have any proof whatsoever that this ever happened. I've pointed this out before. All they have is some evidence that certain types of life forms within a single species went through some mutations, but they have absolutely no proof whatsoever that one species ever turned into another, let alone that fish came out of the sea, grew legs, and started turning into the different kinds of land animals, like your house cat. It didn't, the catfish somehow or another turned into your pet. There is absolutely no evidence whatsoever that any of this happened. And I would feel absolutely stupid to go around promoting that. But yet, this man who is now mocking Christians that believe in the literal stories in the Bible, this man actually says these things are facts. He says evolution is a fact. So he has absolutely no uh, reason to be talking about us as far as foolishness, because what he is believing is absolutely as foolish as it gets. And I will, if he wants to say anything to me in response, he is welcome to do it. If you happen to be a supporter of this cool dude, preacher for atheism, Timmy Gibson, if you happen to be one of his followers, and you like him, oh, and he has the coolest dog for a pet. He wants you to stay on. It just makes him look so human and down to earth. He wants you to stay there through his whole video so you can look at his dog. The guy is he's full of nonsense. There's no reason to believe anything he says. And the reason I made this video was really just so I could expose the strategy he's using. I just want you to be aware of what he's doing. It's very deceptive. Really, when I look at what they're doing with the deconstruction, and I'm looking at the way that the atheists are doing these different videos, look, I'm going to be honest about it. The devil came up with a very good strategy. And that's what it is. It's a strategy. It's a marketing strategy for atheism. He came up with a very smart strategy. And I'll give him his due on that. It was very smart. But I hope that the Christians that are out there are smart enough to see through it. And for the new Christians, the ones that are young and the ones that really haven't had a chance to really get into their Bible and haven't really had a chance to consider that the stuff that science is teaching is just theories, and that the things that you're hearing from the historians are not proven facts. For those of you who haven't had a chance to look into this any, more than just a little bit casually, I wanted to do this video for your benefit as much as anything else. But anyway, I don't want to continue to ramble on any longer. I think you get the point. I want to thank you for watching this video. And as I said in the previous video, if you like the content or you don't like the content, but you just want to see what this foolish, silly preacher is going to say or do next, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. I am planning to, Lord willing, put up some new videos soon. I've been working on some new songs to put on here. Some of them dealing again with something to do with the faith and atheism and stuff like that, and maybe some other songs that are just original Christian songs. Now, to my audience, I do realize that a lot of people are creating video content with music. I've been writing songs, and my wife's been writing songs since about more than 20 years. And a lot of the tools that they've got out there right now have enabled us to actually have somebody sing these songs and bring them to life. There's a lot of people that aren't even doing the work of writing the lyrics, but we've been writing lyrics to songs. And then we just went ahead and we used the tools that are available to us to finish the job. I mean, if you got good tools, you use them. And so that's what we were doing. But I do realize a lot of people don't even take the time to write any of the lyrics to anything. Now, if I'm in a hurry on something and I just want to kind of put one out there, I might do it without that extra, without actually taking the time to do that. But thus far, everything I've posted, they are original songs that I wrote. And if there is any AI involvement, it was AI assisted. It was not AI written. But I have no problem with AI written stuff. Some of it's really good, but I'm just telling you, thus far, that be the case. And so I just wanted to clarify that. But there's some really interesting stuff and amazing stuff that's been put out since this new technology has come about. But but I don't want anybody to think that I'm, uh, just claiming to be doing 100% of the work by myself. Obviously, I did have some help with these songs, but when it comes down to the lyrics, I like to write lyrics myself, and so does my wife. So anyway, but I do plan to hopefully put up some new videos with original songs, and also be posting some other things to the channel, more teaching programs, and who knows? I try to be creative, even with some other kinds of videos down the road, maybe some documentaries or things if I've got the time to do it. But if you're interested in kind of seeing what what the foolishness of this world is doing, the foolishness that God is called to confound the wise, and whether you believe in what I'm telling you or you don't, or you believe the science or you don't, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you as a subscriber. And again, what you got to lose, I don't charge for it. I don't have a Patreon channel, so I'm not making money off of the videos that I'm doing. And I really didn't get into any of this as a money making anything. I really had not ever planned to even talk about atheism. There's so many things I could talk about from the Bible, as a Bible teacher. I've been a pastor myself in past times, and and I've been a Sunday school teacher, and so I certainly could just be teaching the Bible. But I've gotten off on this because I've seen the real and present threat they're creating, not so much to, well, some people that have been in the faith for a long time have fallen for their stuff, but it's not really so much the older people in the faith that is my main concern, but it's the ones that really are young in the faith, and the ones where the seed was sown but it hasn't fully taken root. It's those people that are not considering that a lot of the stuff that you're being told are facts are completely made up works of fiction, people's imaginations about evolution and stuff like that, and fish to men and stuff like that. A lot of the stuff that you're seeing is completely made up and completely bogus. And so I'm doing these videos for their sake. And I do plan, Lord willing, to do more of them. I've been planning now to do deconstruction videos in the future, if that's the direction the Lord wants me to go, dissecting their actual video content as a lot of these different ones come out with new things. But I want to address this one right now. I did not write a script on this. I'm just speaking to you off the cuff, and I'm just telling you how I see his videos. And they're all, again, he's, like I said, he's just way cool, man. I mean, he's just right out of that 70s show, and I can see where that he would suck some people in. But again, don't let him intimidate you, fellow Christians, into thinking that you need to run from the faith or run from the Bible stories or whatever. He has absolutely nothing. Just like all the rest of the atheists that are out there, they have unbelief and doubt to sow seeds in your heads, but they have absolutely nothing to offer you. And the best outcome that they can have is the grave, eternal unconsciousness. I hate to tell them this. That may be what they're looking for. It's not what they're going to find. Heaven is real. Hell is real. And unless they are believers and serving Christ, believers in and serving Christ, unless they are, they're going to spend eternity being tormented in hell. Oh, I know. They think it's mean-spirited, and they think it's a tactic that we're using to keep people in the faith by threatening them hell. No, I'm just giving you warnings right out of the Bible because I believe it. I believe in an eternal hell. I believe in eternal torments to those that wind up there. And yes, you can wind up there for simple unbelief. Don't be one of those. Don't be sucked into their lies. Um, just realize that what they're telling you are not facts. They're just simply theories, and they're just simply a bunch of claims by historians they can't prove. Same thing with these archaeologists. Not finding something doesn't prove it doesn't exist. And also on the historical side, just finding some similarities between Christian beliefs and beliefs of pagan religions does not make Christianity untrue, and it doesn't prove us wrong at all. They like to claim it does, but it doesn't. And also, claims by atheists that God is not all loving doesn't prove God's not real either. It proves that a lot of teachers have been misleading you. Read the Bible for yourself. Find out what God really is about and what he's really like. If Make up your own mind if you think he's all loving or he's hateful or he's whatever. Make up your own mind. I'm not going to try to talk you into believing that God is anything in the way of loving all the time. I'm just telling you that whether he is or whether he isn't does not have any bearing on whether or not he truly exists. Well, I'm going to end it with that. Have a wonderful day. And if you're a Christian, stand strong for Jesus, because he is real. He is coming back one day, and the Bible is fully trustworthy. And what you've been hearing from the atheists is not.